Worldwide Safety's Goldilocks and the Cyberparents. This is a story about a young lady or girl named Goldilocks who is unfortunately cyberbullied online. Let's have a read through. Remember to snuggle up into your nice warm blanket on your cozy chair or sofa or bed or whatever you are sitting on. This is going to take some time. Goldilocks and the Cyberparents. One day little Goldilocks was wandering through the woods for a picnic. It was a beautiful day and the sun shone between the leaf-covered branches of the big and protective trees. She was singing softly and the birds seemed to sing along with her. At the prettiest spot in the woods, Goldilocks spread her picnic blanket and unpacked her cookies and juice box. Then she connected the laptop's mobile wide area network and logged into her MySpace page. A message popped up. "Oh, I love new messages," thought Goldilocks. She clicked to open it. In big, red, bold letters, someone called "You don't know who I am" had written, "You're so stupid! You're ugly too! Why don't you go live in the deep, dark woods and get eaten by a bear?" Goldilocks read it twice to make sure she didn't misunderstand the first time. "Who is you don't know who I am? Why would you don't know who I am send me such a mean message?" she thought out loud. "Stupid, ugly, live in the deep, dark woods, eaten by a bear!" Goldilocks shut her laptop with a snap. She put her straw into the juice box and unwrapped a cookie, but her stomach began to hurt every time she thought about the mean message, and she left the cookie with its warm mum's chocolate chip smell unwrapped on her blanket, untouched. The day seemed darker and the birds seemed far away suddenly. The trees that had seemed so friendly a few minutes ago now looked scary, the leaves casting long and creepy shadows onto her picnic blanket. The sun must have gone behind a cloud because the woods seemed colder too. Even though she had chills, Goldilocks couldn't restrain herself and opened her laptop again, hoping that she had misunderstood the message. "Maybe it's a joke from one of these three bears," she said to herself as she crossed her fingers and logged in one more time. But her crossed fingers didn't help at all. The message hadn't changed, and joining it were two new ones. "You're fat! You're so fat that you have to wear clothes you borrowed from those stupid three bears and you're always hanging around with. You smell like them too!" And perhaps the most devastating of all, "Aladdin heard you liked him and he was so freaked out that asked his genie to put him in the lamp to hide so you couldn't find him and try to kiss him." Fat? Aladdin found out she liked him and rated her and wanted to hide her from his lamp? She could never go back to school. She couldn't even face her friends or family. Goldilocks felt even sicker, colder and scared. She looked in the nearby stream to see how fat she was. The ripples kept her image from being very clear, but she thought she looked a bit heavier than she did seem an hour ago. Maybe it was the jukes in the jukebox. Maybe her mum should start buying diet juices or just give her water to drink. Even though she could smell the cookie, she vowed never again to eat a cookie. She felt miserable, and she was hungry and thirsty. Goldilocks kept replaying those messages in her head, and often would reread them too. After a while, she started to believe them. "You don't know who I am" is right. I did seem a little fat, but at least a reflection in this dream. And Aladdin hates me now. How can I face anyone in school? Like, how could I face him? Would he even be able to go to the happily ever after school? school and that I was moving into the genie's bottle to live, she thought to herself. It's all my fault. No wonder everyone hates me, she said out loud, frightening the rabbit and the bird in the woods! Then her cell phone buzzed, hurling a new text message with a blocked sender. Everyone hates you. I hope the wicked queen sent you a poison apple instead of giving it to Snow White. She already knew everyone hated her, but now they wanted her to get sick and maybe die from the poison apple giving her to by the wicked queen. Queen? Well, it's a witch. Her head began to spin and she had to hold onto the tree to regain her balance. The woods seemed too close on her. She heard an owl screech and a wolf howl. Da 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 da. Greetings, I, the war owl, greets you. Cheaters are beaters, and hackers are whackers. Why had she thought the woods were friendly? It was getting late, but she didn't have the energy to get back and walk back home. Everyone hated her. Her stomach growled, and she couldn't even eat a cookie or drink her juice, since she was so fat! Goldilocks closed her eyes, and tears spilled from them, and she wrapped herself in a picnic blanket, shaking. More text messages arrived, one after another. She could hear them, but Goldilocks buried her head in her small shivering arms and fell asleep, dreaming of the whole school laughing at her, pointing at her, and the wicked queen knocking at the door. The sun set. Goldilocks' parents began to worry when she didn't arrive home in time for dinner. They called Jack and Jill, Goldilocks' friends, hoping she was with them. Have you seen Goldilocks? Jack told Goldilocks' parents that he thought she might have been walking in the woods. Jill said that she saw Goldilocks pack a picnic blanket, a cookie, and a juice box. Goldilocks' parents looked at each other, clearly very worried. Her father grabbed his jacket and her mom grabbed her flashlight. They took Goldilocks' little puppy, Ronald, too. Come on, Ronald, we have to find that little girl! Goldilocks' father shouted as his wife disappeared into the woods behind the house, with Ronald scampering behind. The woods were cold and very, very dark. Goldilocks' mum was getting more and more worried. She'll be very cold, she said. She hadn't even had a sweater when she was with her when she left the house, and a cookie and juice box isn't enough. She'll be very hungry and thirsty too. She scanned the woods with a flashlight, looking for clues about where Goldilocks might have gone. After searching for almost an hour, Goldilocks' parents sat down on a log, exhausted and scared. I think we need help, her father said as he pulled out his cell phone. The phone rang, but no one answered. He heard a gruff voice on the answering machine asking him to leave a message. Papa Bear, it's Michael, Goldilocks' father. We think she's lost in the woods and searching for her. I would really appreciate anything if you can help. Have you seen her today? He then left his cell number and then hung up. He turned to his wife and seemed to be close to panicking. I'm sure they'll call back soon. We'll really use the help, he said as he took her hand to comfort her. Let's get going. It's cold and dark night. Goldilocks needs us. Papa hadn't been home to receive Michael's phone call. He and his family were out cleaning some fallen trees in the woods. They were prepared for the cold and picked up Mama's honey cakes to eat when they stopped for a snack. Out of my mouth. And they knew where to find the coolest, freshest streams in the woods. They knew the woods better than anyone, since their little house was just inside the prettiest part of the woods. Baby looked up at his parents. I wish Goldilocks was here with us, he said. She loves Mama's honey cakes even more than her mum's special chocolate chip cookies. That's a little bit naughty of him, I think. Sorry. Just then he thought he could smell Goldilocks' mum's cookies. I can smell her cookies now. Mama looked up. Shh! You could smell the chocolate chip in the cookies too. She caught Papa's eye. Oh, Papa! Oh, come for me for a minute. I need your help, Mama said as she ambled deeper into the dark woods. Baby, you stay here and collect the logs for the firewood. We'll be right back. Papa and Mama knew the woods well and followed the scent of the chocolate chip cookies. They both looked worried too. They knew that the smell came from the deep in the woods, and it was dark and cold, and any girl accompanying those cookies could be frightened and alone. They moved faster, exchanging anxious glances. Then when they came to the little clearing, they first could see Goldilocks, but then they heard a cell phone vibrating with incoming text message nearby. Goldilocks was tightly wrapped in a picnic blanket, huddled against the giant oak tree. Her teeth were chattering, and she was shivering. A cold chocolate chip cookie has fallen into the leaves, and the chipmunk was munching on it. Obvious to the three in the clearing. Papa looked at Mama. You take her blanket and her backpack. I'll carry her back to the house. Mama silently nodded. Effortlessly, Papa lifted up her little girl, or the little girl, who snuggled against his warm coat, wrapping her arms around his neck. She whimpered something in her sleep, something about not being able to eat anymore because she was too fat, and something that sounded like poisoned apples. He patted her gently. What's this, pornography? And lumbered back to their little house, while Mama went ahead to get the baby and light a fire. By the time they neared the house, Papa could see the candles welcoming them home, and small, fresh-baked honey cakes. He could even hear the crackling of fire. Mama was standing in the doorway with a warm quilt on her arm and baby looking on anxiously. She was holding a cup of honey cider to help comfort Goldilocks, while Goldilocks slept through it all. Is she okay? Is she okay? Baby asked. He moved around trying to figure out where Goldilocks would be the most comfortable. Put her over here in my cot, he offered, while fluffing his little pillow. Oh, alright, it's a baby, my bad. As Papa laid her gently down on baby's cot, Goldilocks woke up. At first she looked confused, not sure where she was. Then she saw her friend Baby, and she was sitting up on his coat. She smiled and she realized where she was. Baby, you know your cot is just right. And they both laughed, remembering how they first met, when Goldilocks had stumbled into their little house trying out the chairs, porridge and beds. How did I get here? A baby and my mama bear explained. The Papa bear didn't say anything. He looked on the protectivity, happy to see Goldilocks appeared to be fine. I'll call her parents, he offered as Goldilocks drank her honey cider and started chewing on a warm honey cake. Goldilocks had started to tell the three bears about the meme messages on her laptop on her cell phone. It wasn't long before her parents knocked on the door of the little house in the woods owned by the three bears. She hasn't gotten to the part about the wicked queen about Papa Bear walked into the room with the parents. But she stopped when she saw parents' worried, anxious faces. They were covered with dirt, her father's sleeve ripped, and the mother had leaves and twigs on her hair from searching in the woods for her. Immediately her parents began to question her about what happened, taking at the same or talking at the same time. Goldilocks began to explain, but when she got to the part about the mean messages saying she was fat, and about Aladdin hating her, and the wicked queen about the poison apples, both the parents stood frozen in place. Her mother was the first to move. "I knew you should have let her father buy you a laptop!" Her voice was shrill, and she continued, "And that cell phone, I was supposed to help you keep you safe, help you reach us when you needed to, and instead you were attacked on it, and you're not fat, and they are fat." Oh, wait a minute. Isn't that bullying as well? And Aladdin should count his lucky stars like that you liked him. I hope he gets stuck in the lamp and turns into a genie himself. And the wicked queen. Don't even get me started on her. I went to school with her, you know, and she was a wicked even then. Who's the fairest of them all? Please. She wouldn't have known fair if it hit her in the face. She had a nose job, and you know, and Goldilocks' mother was hysterical. Baby Bear looked at Goldilocks, seemed more afraid than the mother was going to do next, losing a cell phone and a laptop, and Mama Drama. Whoa, Mama Drama! Whoa, whoa, whoa! And she was of the wicked queen. She looked at both of his parents, who were watching all of this carefully and quietly. At the same time, Goldilocks' mother was having her hysterical meltdown, dialing the home number of Goldilocks' principal and trying to conference him in the Department of Homeland Security. Her father was pouring himself a cup of honey cider, seeming to be oblivious everything his wife was doing. Goldilocks, it's best when things like this happen that you ignore them. It's not a big deal. We're happy we found you. Bad things could have happened to you in the woods at night alone. But the mean messages are just words, remember? Sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Goldilocks looked sad when he said this. She exchanged a glance with Baby Bear, and a tear rolled down her cheek. Goldilocks moved and now had the White House, head of cybersecurity, the chairman office at the Warrants at principal at police chief, the head of the local FBI office, Homeland Security, and one conference call, screaming at the top of her lungs that someone would do something and put those horrible cyberbullies in jail. Dad, that was so mean! Her father patted Goldilocks on the head. Sweetheart. They were only words. I think it's best that you just ignore them. What about those nice 3 little pigs that used to play when you were younger? They seemed like nice playmates, and I don't remember them giving you a computer. If they have a computer or cell phone. He continued rambling as he drank his honey cider. Yes, I believe that ignoring it and finding new friends is the answer, he added, staring at the window. Mama and Papa Bear looked at the Baby Bear and then at Goldilocks. They couldn't stand it anymore. Could we have a word with you for a moment? It's very important, Papa Bear said gently but firmly to Goldilocks' parents. He said that Goldilocks' mother, gesturing her to hang up the phone. She began to object when she caught Mama Bear's eye. I have to call you back, she said to the phone, to the relief of all illustrations parties on the call. Mama Bear handed them each other's warm cup of honey cider and beckoned them into the front room, shutting the door to Baby's Bear room behind her. Then Mama Bear looked knowingly at her husband and put a paw on Goldilocks' mother's arm to comfort her and began. I know, I was frightened, you must be, but your beloved daughter was lost in the woods and you had no idea what might have happened to her. Luckily, we found her and she wasn't hurt physically. She looked at Goldilocks' father too. We know that you love Goldilocks, and we all do. I remember when she first came to our house and broke Baby Bear's chair, overturned our porridge bowls, and ended up sleeping in Baby's cot that day. At first, we were very upset, and when we called you asking you to pick her up, we even thought about pressing charges for breaking and entering. But she charmed us in 5 minutes, and the baby's best friend, and like a cub to us. She looked at baby and Papa, and smiled. How many more pages? Alright. But like our porridge that day, a parent's response can be too hot or too cold. We, as parents, aim for the response that is just right. Fiddlesticks. She turned to Goldilocks' mother. Know how much you love her, and now, like any mama bear, you could take on all the animals in the forest to protect her. But the best way to protect her is to let her know that you are there to hug her. Hug her. Make her feel comfortable. Let her know you'll defend her. But wait until you know the facts. Then promise not to make things worse, and adhere to that promise. Blowing up, especially in front of her, will only make her more upset. She'll only be afraid to call... You may call Aladdin's mother or knock on the wicked queen's castle door. She was afraid, asking, trying to take care of most of the other thing is harder for her. Mama patted Goldilocks' mother's hand. Oops. Make her your first priority. Focus just on her. Tell her you love her and that together you'll find a solution. Goldilocks' mother objected. Whoa! Mama Bear, I know she'll be calm and appear in charge and solid, but it's so hard to see someone bullying a little girl. I took one look at her face and saw how cold, scared and hurt she was. Just she couldn't help it. Someone had to pay. She looked to the phone and moved to get up. Mama Bear placed a paw on her once again, gently. If you have to, once she is settled, go into the bathroom and scream with a washcloth in your mouth to muffle the sound. Just don't let her see how upset you are. Let her see you're calm and in control. And if you need to, do something that helps you regain perspective for 5 minutes. Something you enjoy doing that calms you down.
Cyber safety expert Perry Aftab calls this that take 5.
1 second to my viewers. Just a minute. My apologies.
Take 5!
She looked at both distraught parents. Then help Goldilocks find and take her own 5. Activity to distract her from cyberbullying. Tell little Ronald loose with her. He'll take her mind off the mean messages and help her regain perspective with your help. Mama looked at Papa Bear and she handed her part. It was up to him to handle this. He cleared his throat and began to address Goldilocks' father. It's hard, he said. As fathers, we want to charge and take in anyone who hurts our cubs physically. We need to understand that although sticks and stones hurt in obvious ways, words can hurt even more and in ways we don't contemplate. And it's a children's. Sorry for all your children here, but contemplate is a hard word. Don't think about it too much.
Thank you.
He waited while Mama Bear poured more honey cider for everyone, and then continued. Sometimes Dad don't appreciate the power of words to do serious harm. Mama Bear looked encouragingly at her husband to continue. Papa Bear cleared his throat. I remember when I was a little cub, smaller than the rest of my litter. Papa Bear looked off, picturing his hurtful memory. There were other bigger cubs who used to push me around. But I didn't look like the Mama Bear, who's the prettiest girl in the neighbourhood. Just like Snape. He smiled at Mama Bear, who was sitting back, sipping her honey cider with a smile on her face. I could handle with their physical bullying, but knew that since most of the males in our family were late bloomers, I knew I would get big eventually. Alright. But they also used words to hurt me. They told Mama Bear that I was a coward, weak and stupid. They said everyone hated me and that I should leave the den and move away since I smelled. I was embarrassed that she could hear those things and worried that she could believe them. The words hurt more than fighting did, and they hurt longer too. Mama Bear reached forward and squeezed his paw. Oh, I heard those mean things. I knew they weren't true. Like, you know, I knew he was brave and smart and everything like in it. Like, but in the best bear cub I met, you know, they told him so. Papa Bear added, when Mama Bear came to me, she told me that she had heard these things and knew they weren't true. She then helped me heal the hurt words caused, and together we faced the bullies who had waged the war of words. It eventually stopped, and having her there with me understand how much words her had hurt, and all the difference in the world can. The right person in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. Goldilocks' parents looked at each other. It had been a difficult evening and they could face more difficult days before this problem was resolved, but their first priority was to make Goldilocks safe and supported.
Lawyers, FBI agents, school superintendents, and parents of the cyber bullies could wait.
Her mother understood that her tirades, I don't know, and looking for someone to blame was only hurting Goldilocks more, and the father understood by trying to minimize the hurt to Goldilocks. He was failing to acknowledge that she was upset and needed help. Both parents acted out of love, but one was too hot and the other was too cold. They thanked Mama and Papa Bear for their advice and help. Then they stood up and walked into the baby bear's bedroom. Sweetheart, Mom and I were talking and think that we can handle the cyber bullies tomorrow. Right now, let's get you home into your own bed. We can talk about what happened and how we can handle it, or should handle it. They sat down on baby Bear's little cot and Goldilocks' father held his daughter's hands. We know how much it hurt and how scary it was. We'll make sure that the wicked queen never locks on our door, and that you are safe. And we promise not to do anything to make things worse. We love you. The mother did. And we don't want you to know that you're not too fat, not too thin, but just right. And you have many friends and people who love you. You're a straight A student, and all of your teachers say that you're one of the smartest students they ever had. The mean things, these cyberbullies, are more than their own flaws than yours. You need to remember who you are and how special
Special you are.
Then she hugged her, with Goldilocks' father joining in. That's pretty nice. We'll take Goldilocks home now. We can't thank you enough for finding her, keeping us safe, and helping us understand how we can help and support her the best. Thank you! Goldilocks' parents and the bears hugged at the door and thanked them again. Goldilocks was already asleep in her father's arms, and little Ronald was asleep in the picnic basket. Tomorrow won't be easy. There was much more her parents would have to learn about cyberbullying, but for now, they have done the most important thing. They had given their daughter the love and support she needed. The end. Okay, the facts. Let's see if these facts are personally real or not. The facts. StopCyberbullying.org did a poll of almost 45,000 middle school students a few years ago, and found that only 5% of the students would tell their parents if they were cyberbullied, often fearing that their parents would take away the technology used to bully them, would overreact or would underreact. There are named almost 70 different reactions, and they wouldn't seek help from their parents. These 3 reasons were among the top. Or maybe those 45,000 middle schools, the people there, maybe, just maybe people were trolling, just maybe, just maybe. Maybe! You guys are like Trollface? You heard of Trollface? Trollface is a funny meme, isn't it? Innocent. Funny. When the emergency room, medical professionals are hit with many patients all needing the help, they do try it. They find the ones in the worst condition and address them first. Your child's pain is the most not expected to be an expert at cybercrime or abuse. You are just expected to be a loving and supportive parent. Remind them that you love them. Promise not to make things worse or overreact, and tell them no, you take this seriously. Help them remember who they are, their talents and their strengths. Help them find something to make them laugh, like a puppy, favourite movie or anime. Laughter is still the best medicine in handling cyberbullying situation. Now firstly, if I was bullied, if I was sad, I don't good things flashing by my face, because those good things remind me of the good times I had and make me more sad. The other things you will need to do are addressed in different articles by the Parry Aftab and the Stop Cyberbullying materials. Read and complete the Cyberbullying Response Checklist for parents, which will help guide your response. The Parent's Guide to Stop Cyberbullying is a great resource too. Advise them to stop, block and tell if they ever get a mean message. Have them stop not to answer back. Block the person and the message. and to tell you as their trusted adult. If anything else happens, be understanding and gentle with them. This is far more devastating than any of us can realize. And remember, this too will pass. That's it. And I'll see you dudes in the next video! And bye! And I am the War Owl, and I still have no closure. Da 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 da.